Welcome to my channel, and we are here for another True Crime and Makeup Monday. We're covering Jim Jones and the People's Temple, and we all know he was a something, for sure. James Warren Jones was an American preacher, political activist, and mass murderer. He led the People's Temple, a new religious movement between 1955 and 1978, and what he called revolutionary suicide. Jones and the members of his inner circle orchestrated a mass murder-suicide in his remote jungle commune at Jonestown, Guyana, on November 18, 1978. Jones and the events that occurred at Jonestown have had a defining influence on society's perception of cults. As a child, Jones developed an affinity for Pentecostalism and a desire to preach. He was ordained as a Christian minister in the Independent Assemblies of God, attracting his first group of followers while participating in the Pentecostal Latter Rain movement and the Healing Revival during the 1950s. Jones' initial popularity arose from his joint campaign appearances with the movement's prominent leaders, William Branheim and Joseph Madison Bowes, and their endorsement of his ministry. Jones founded the organization that would become the People's Temple in Indianapolis in 1955. In 1956, Jones began to be influenced by Father Divine and the Peace Mission movement. Jones distinguished himself through civil rights activism, founding the temple as a fully integrated congregation and promoting socialism. In 1964, Jones joined and was ordained a minister by the Disciples of Christ. His attraction to the disciples was largely due to the autonomy and tolerance they granted to differing views with their denomination. In 1965, Jones moved the temple to California. The group established its headquarters in San Francisco, where he became heavily involved in political and charitable activity throughout the 1970s. Jones developed connections with prominent California politicians and was appointed as the chairman of the San Francisco Housing Authority Commission in 1975. Beginning in the late 1960s, reports of abuse began to surface as Jones became increasingly vocal in his rejection of traditional Christianity and began promoting a form of communism he called apostolic socialism, and making claims of his own divinity. Jones became progressively more controlling of his followers at People's Temple, which at its peak had over 3,000 members. Jones's followers engaged in a communal lifestyle in which many turned over all their income and property to Jones and the People's Temple, who directed all aspects of community life. So essentially, he robbed these people blind. He took everything they had, from their assets to their money, whatever it was, he had control over it. Following a period of negative media publicity and reports of abuse at People's Temple, Jones ordered the construction of the Jonestown commune in Guyana in 1974 and convinced or compelled many of his followers to live there with him. Jones claimed that he was constructing a socialist paradise free from the oppression of the United States government. By 1978, reports surfaced of human rights abuses and accusations that people were being held in Jonestown. Like, held against their will. U.S. Representative Leo Ryan led a delegation to the commune in November of that year to investigate these reports. While boarding a return flight with some former temple members who wished to leave, Ryan and 4 others were murdered by gunmen from Jonestown. Jones then ordered a mass murder-suicide that claimed the lives of 909 commune members, 304 of them children. Almost all of the members died by drinking Flavor Aid laced with cyanide. And I say almost because that is accurate. Almost all of them died this way. The ones that didn't, well...
Tornado sirens are going off.
Huh?
Our tornado sirens are going off. And it's not Wednesday.
Sorry. Avert a crisis. Our tornado sirens went off. Anyway, back to the less exciting story, I guess. Following a period of negative... No, I did that. Okay, sorry. I have to remember where it was. Okay. James Warren Jones was born on May 13th, 1931.
Can you go back upstairs and take something out there for me? This box right here.
In the rural community of Crete, Indiana, to James Thurman Jones and Lynetta Putnam. Jones was of Irish and Welsh descent. He and his mother both claim to also have some Cherokee ancestry.
Hi, Kathy. That's when it wasn't raining. It's raining again. It just started raining again.
But there is no evidence of this. Jones's father was a disabled World War I veteran who suffered from severe breathing difficulties due to injuries which he sustained in a chemical weapons attack. He tried to augment his income by occasionally working on neighborhood road repair projects because the military pension he earned due to his wounds was insufficient to support his family. His...
There you go again.
His father's illness led to financial difficulties, which in turn resulted in the intense marital problems between Jones's parents. In 1934, in the midst of the Great Depression, the Joneses family was evicted from their home for failure to make mortgage payments. Okay, hold on. Tornado warning for Hamilton, Ohio. Says to take shelter. Yeah. Huh? This is just not what we need right now.
As long as we survive and it takes the house, okay. My flagpoles though. I'm gonna replace those insurance money. We have insurance. I'm gonna go get my shit. Cappy outside.
What?
I was like, cappuccino's outside.
They're
driving away.
They're what?
People driving away. People in their car. At least we're in the house.
They might be trying to go somewhere that's...
All the houses on this block have basements.
Doesn't necessarily mean they're safer. Their relatives purchased a shack for them to live in at the nearby town of Lynn.
Why is the remote wet? So, the wind's picking up. No, the wind is still. Oh, the wind is still, whatever.
That's not good either.
It's more consistent because it would stop, then go, stop, then go. Now it's consistent. I'm about to go outside and see. I feel like I feel like a light.
The new home where Jones grew up lacked plumbing and electricity, and in Lynn, the family attempted to earn an income through farming, but again met with failure when Jones's father's health further deteriorated.
Remember, I wanted to be a weatherman? Yeah, I want to go chase fucking tornadoes.
Who's going outside? Jesus Christ.
We'll be fine. I was like, if anything, if it takes the house, I'll at least grab my vinyls before we
But again, met with failure when Jones's father's health further deteriorated. The family often lacked adequate food and relied on financial support from their extended family. What's the matter? They sometimes resorted to foraging in the nearby forest and fields to supplement their diet. According to multiple Joneses biographers, his mother, His mother had no natural maternal instincts, and as a result, she frequently neglected her son. When Jones started to attend school, his extended family threatened to cut off their financial assistance unless his mother got a job, forcing her to work outside her home. Meanwhile, Jones's father was hospitalized multiple times due to his illness. Hey!
Oh, my bad.
As a result, Jones's parents were frequently absent during his childhood, although his aunts and uncles lived close by and gave him some supervision. Joneses frequently strolled his town's streets, naked as a baby with no one watching over him. Jones was cared for by the female residents of Lynn, and they frequently invited him into their houses to give him food, clothing, and other gifts. Myrtle Kennedy, the wife of the Nazarene Church's pastor, developed a special attachment to Jones. She gave Jones a Bible and encouraged him to study it, teaching him to follow the holiness code of the Nazarene Church. As Joneses grew older, he attended services at most of the churches in Lynn, often going to multiple churches each week, and he was baptized in several of them. Joneses developed a desire to become a preacher as a child, and he began to practice preaching in private. His mother claimed that she was disturbed when she caught him imitating the pastor of the local Apostolic Pentecostal church, and she was unsuccessfully attempted to prevent him from attending the church's services. I don't think she tried very hard, to be honest. Joneses regularly visited a casket manufacturer in Lynn and held mock funerals for roadkill that he collected. One neighbor of the Joneses family even stated that Jones killed a cat with a knife for one of these funerals. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me. When he could not get any children to attend his funerals, he would perform the services alone. Joneses claimed to have unique abilities. I guess that's one thing you could call him, such as the capability to fly. For the record, he could not actually fly. And I don't know that he ever tried to demonstrate this, but yeah. He once leaped off a building's roof to demonstrate his abilities to others, but he fell and broke his arm because he can't fly. He nonetheless persisted in saying he had exceptional abilities despite the fall. At times, he would put other children into life-threatening situations and tell them he was guided by the angel of death.
That's 20 minutes away. You guys see those like square areas or like the areas that are going to be most affected by weather. Well, the red is up by Oxford, which is 20 miles away. Right?
Joneses allegedly committed countless sacrilegious pranks in the churches he attended as a boy, according to claims he made in adult life. He did these things in the name of God, but they were still considered sacrilegious, which kills me.
Pull a twister. The way you come through the freaking movie street.
He claimed that he had stolen the Pentecostal minister's Bible and had covered Acts 2:38 with cow manure. He also asserted that he substituted a cup of his own urine for the holy water once at a Catholic church.
Animal sense shit.
Although they had sympathy for Jones because of his poor circumstances, his neighbors reported that he was an unusual child who was obsessed with religion and death. One Jones biographer suggested that he developed his unusual interests because he found it difficult to make friends.
Got another cow. No, I think it's the same cow.
Although his strange religious practices stood out to most of his neighbors, they reported that he misbehaved in more serious ways. He frequently stole candy from merchants in the town. His mother was required to pay for his thefts. Joneses regularly used offensive profanity, commonly greeting his friends and neighbors by saying, "Good morning, you son of a bitch," or hello, you dirty bastard. Jones's mother usually beat him with a leather belt in order to punish his misbehavior. Joneses developed Jones
Quiet on the western front is the one you were talking about.
developed an interest in religion and social doctrines. He became a voracious reader who studied Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin, Karl Marx, Mao Zedong, and Mahatma Gandhi?
Remember about those guys that signed up?
I'm not entirely sure I pronounced that correctly. Jones would tell his future wife, Marceline, that Mei Si-tung was his hero. He spent hours in the community library and he brought books home so he could read them in the evenings. Although he studied different political systems, Joneses did not espouse any radical political views in his youth. But as World War II started, Jones developed an intense interest in the Nazi Party. He was fascinated by their pomp, their cohesion, and Hitler's total power. The members of his neighborhood found it disconcerting that he extolled Nazi Germany.
Don't knock this directly. They're dumb.
Jones acted as a dictator over the other kids, ordering them to goose step together and beating those who disobeyed.
Sorry, I tried to get him to come back in. He didn't want.
One childhood friend recalled Jones shouting Heil Hitler and giving the Nazi salute to German prisoners of war who were traveling through their town on their way to a detention facility.
I'm scared to go to my room. If I go up there, I'll be dead. I'm about to fall asleep. This weather's got me tired. No can. Those ones are further away though. They're not Hamilton's. There goes Hamilton's. I was like, what?
We're close enough to Trenton and New
it's
Miami that we're
it's
going to
out.
pick up theirs too.
I know, but it's out by Oxford where it's red right now. Oxford is red.
That's because they're giving you enough chance to get to somewhere that's safer.
I'm fixing to go take a nap. And y'all can make sure I'm alive by 4?
If we're alive, sure.
What? If the house isn't gone and we're still here. Oh, wake up at 4.
Commenting on his childhood, Jones stated, quote, I was ready to kill by the end of 3rd grade. I mean, I was so aggressive and hostile. I was ready to kill. Nobody gave me love, any understanding. In those days, a parent was supposed to go with the child to school functions. There was some kind of school performance, and everybody's parent was there but mine. I'm standing there, alone. Always alone. End quote. Tim Reederman, a journalist and biographer of Jones, wrote that Jones's attraction to religion was strongly influenced by his desire for a family. Joneses went to see the Kennedy family in 1942 when they spent the summer in Richmond, Indiana. They took part in services 4 times a week while attending a summer religious convention at a nearby Pentecostal church. When Jones returned to Lynn in the fall, he upset his neighborhood by explaining sexual reproduction in detail to young children. Jones's mother was urged to control his behavior by many individuals in Lynn, but she refused. Many parents decided to keep their kids away from Jones. As a result of the issue, he had established himself as an outcast among many of his friends by the time he started high school and was growingly despised by the locals. In high school, Jones continued to stand out from his peers. Jones went by the nickname Jimmy during his youth and almost always carried his Bible with him. Jones was a good student who enjoyed debating with his teachers, but he also had the habit of refusing to respond to anyone who spoke to him first and only engaged in conversations when he started them. In contrast to his peers, Jones was known to dress in his Sunday church clothes every day of the week. His religious views alienated him from other young people. He frequently confronted them for drinking beer, smoking, and dancing. At times, he would even interrupt other young people's events and insist that they read the Bible with him. Jones did not enjoy participating in sports because he detested losing, so he coached teams for younger children instead. Jones was disturbed by the treatment of the African Americans who were in attendance at a baseball game. He attended in Richmond, Indiana. The events of that baseball game brought discrimination against African Americans to Jones's attention.
They're going off again, Melody.
and
That
influenced
doesn't always mean anything. I know, I'm just telling you. Sorry, Chrissy.
and influenced his strong aversion to racism. Jones's father belonged to the Indiana branch of the Ku Klux Klan, which enjoyed considerable support in Indiana during the Great Depression. Jones described how he and his father had a disagreement about race and added that they had not spoken for many, many years as a result of his father forbidding one of Jones's black friends to enter his home. Ultimately, Jones' involvement in organizing baseball leagues ended when he callously murdered a dog in front of the players by dropping it from a window. Jones's parents separated in 1945, and they eventually divorced. Jones moved to Richmond, Indiana, with his mother, where he graduated from Richmond High School in December of 1948, early and with honors. Jones and his mother lost the financial support of their relatives following the divorce. To support himself, Jones began working as an orderly at Richmond's Reed Hospital in 1946. Jones was well regarded by the senior management, but staff members later recalled that Jones exhibited disturbing behavior towards some patients and coworkers. Jones began dating a nurse in training named Marceline Baldwin while he was working at Reed Hospital. Jones moved to Bloomington, Indiana in November of 1948, where he attended Indiana University, Bloomington, with the intention of becoming a doctor, but changed his mind shortly thereafter. During his time at university, Jones was impressed by a speech which Eleanor Roosevelt delivered about the plight of African Americans, and he began to espouse support for communism and other radical political views for the first time. Jones and Baldwin continued their relationship while he attended college, and the couple married on June 12, 1949. Their first home was in Bloomington, where Marceline worked in a nearby hospital while Jones attended college. Marceline was Methodist, and she and Jones immediately fell into arguments about church. Jones's strong opposition to the Methodist Church's radical segregationist practices was an early strain on their marriage. Jones insisted on attending Bloomington's Full Gospel Tabernacle, but eventually compromised and began attending a local Methodist church on most Sunday mornings. Despite attending churches every week, Jones privately pressed his wife to accept atheism. After attending Indiana University for 2 years, the couple relocated to Indianapolis in 1951. Jones took night classes at Butler University to continue his education, finally earning a degree in secondary education in 1961. In 1951, the 20-year-old Jones began attending gatherings of the Communist Party USA in Indianapolis. Jones and his family faced harassment from government authorities for their affiliation with the Communist Party during 1952. In one event, Jones's mother was harassed by FBI agents in front of her coworkers because she had attended a communist meeting with her son. Jones became frustrated with the persecution of communists in the U.S. Reflecting back on his participation in the Communist Party, Jones said that he asked himself, "How can I demonstrate my Marxism?" The thought was, infiltrate the church. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to get dressed. I'll be right back so we can finish this story. In early 1952, Jones announced to his wife and her family that he would become a Methodist minister, believing the church was ready to put real surrealism into practice. Jones was surprised when a Methodist district superintendent helped him get a start at the church, even though he knew Jones to be a communist. In the summer of 1952, Jones was hired as the student pastor for the children at the Somerset Southside Methodist Church. Jones was hired as a student pastor to the children at the Somerset Southside Methodist Church, where he launched a project to create a playground that would be open to children of all races. Jones continued to speak at Pentecostal churches while serving as Methodist student pastor. In early 1954, Jones was dismissed from his position at the Methodist Church, ostensibly for stealing church funds, though he later claimed he left the church because its leaders forbade him from integrating blacks into his congregation. Around this time in 1953,
The wind's going that way. It was going that way.